Ashoka Mody, you used to be an IMF official in charge of Ireland. Now you're with Princeton University. What you said here at the Institute today is that Greece needs a haircut up to 50% of the GDP from now about 180%. Why is that so important?
Well, I start with the proposition that Greece exiting the euro is a bad idea. Even though some people think that the financial contagion will be limited, I think it could be quite extensive. But also, I think if Greece exits, then the concept of the euro as an entity is endangered, and the likelihood that another country may at some point be forced by markets to exit the euro becomes a reality. Therefore, the question is, if Greece is to stay in the eurozone, what needs to be done? And Greece is like a trauma patient at this point. It's bleeding. We can all disagree on why it is where it is, but even before this new government came in, the Greek economy had been in a free fall for 5 years. And in such a state, more austerity, more reduction of public expenditures, more taxes, is completely counterproductive. 5 years of research and experience with Greece has shown that if austerity has to be limited, as I think it does, to maybe about 0.5% of GDP primary surplus, the automatic implication is that Greece needs substantial debt relief. That is exactly what the IMF studies show, and all I am proposing is what would be consistent with the IMF studies and past IMF practice.
What you said also today was that the ECB demanding its money back this month would be completely scandalous. What do you mean by that? There seems to be a rift between the IMF and the ECB now at this point in time.
Well, on the specific money due to the ECB this month, that was part of a bond restructuring, potentially. In 2012, when Greece restructured the bonds that were owned by private creditors, at the same time, the ECB, which held those similar bonds, sought an exemption. And so the ECB was spared that haircut, and now it is demanding full payment. If the ECB at that point had let those bonds remain in the market, those bonds would have been restructured at that time, and the Greek obligations would have been much less. So by buying those bonds and holding on to them and demanding full payment, the ECB is clearly acting inappropriately.
But the ECB has already helped a lot by not intervening against the Central Bank of Greece issuing ELA credits to the banks in Greece.
Yes, so we can have a different perspective on that. I think we can also make the argument that the ECB could have been much more generous to the Greek Central Bank. In a way, the fact that the ECB signaled very early on that the absence of an agreement with the creditors would force it to limit funds to the Greek Central Bank set off a lot of the problems. The ECB could easily have taken the option that till the program is settled, we continue as if nothing has happened. There was no reason for the ECB to have acted otherwise, and I think by putting that pressure, the ECB made matters worse.
Do you think that a haircut from like 180 to 50% could ever be acceptable to the other 18 parliaments of the Eurozone? No,
I don't think the way to do it would be to have a haircut. I think the way to do it would be to have such substantial maturity extensions that it in effect becomes a debt burden which is tantamount to a very low amount, and that could be done by extensive maturity extensions going well into the several decades. And if those monies are spread out over several decades, you don't need an actual physical haircut. The number 50% that I proposed is only to indicate that at the current GDP level, what is the debt burden that Greece can carry. How it is done politically is a question that the political decision makers can make.
So that could mean payback time in 100 years.
Yes. So yeah, literally the Greek debt could be without creating any haircut. The decision could be that there's a grace period of 50 years and the repayment payment of a period of another 50 years, and that amounts to keeping no haircut but extensive debt relief.
Thank you very much.